What's going on, folks? My name is Spice. This is Spice Camp Fish. It has been a super long time since I've gotten in front of the camera. It's been kind of a busy couple of months for me. I've been super busy with like personal stuff and just a whole bunch of work stuff as well. Just haven't had a ton of time to get out and do any fishing or any editing or anything really. I kind of missed most of the fall fishing. I got out a few times here and there, but I was really just kind of focusing on throwing the big swim baits, and for whatever reason, I couldn't really get anything to happen. But yeah, at the time that I'm filming this video, it's like the beginning of December. I think today is the 8th or the 9th of December, so we are well into the winter at this point. Fishing season has more or less come to a close. There's still some ponds that are open here or there, and I might try and get out here within the next few days to try and catch a couple of fish. But yeah, for all intents and purposes, the fishing season is over for this year, so I won't really be getting out and filming any more fishing style videos for you guys. Now that being said, this is the perfect time of the year for me to stock up on some stuff for next year, so you guys are probably going to be seeing a whole bunch of unboxings coming up here soon. And I figure we may as well start that off with a nice little unboxing, or I guess unbagging, from the old Bass Pro Shops. Now where I'm at in New York, there isn't actually a Bass Pro Shop anywhere near me. The closest one is about 2 hours away. I have to drive over to Connecticut all the way up to Bridgeport. I was heading up to Connecticut to go actually cut down my girlfriend's family's tree, and figured I may as well stop in there for a little bit on the way. Now I actually filmed an intro already for this video. I actually filmed some B-roll as well while I was in Bass Pro Shops, but of course, for whatever reason, my GoPro decided to wig out. But I figured we could still make a video out of today, so we're just gonna do a straight up unboxing or unbagging like I said. So I didn't really go in there needing anything specific. I just kind of went and picked up a few things here and there, some stuff that I thought looked kind of interesting, some stuff in some new colors that I hadn't tried. And yeah, ended up with a nice little bag of some stuff, so we're gonna get right into it. We got more than enough stuff to go through in this video. But yeah, I'm gonna kind of go through this stuff because I honestly don't remember what I got. I'm gonna find some way to organize this stuff, and then we're just gonna go through it one at a time. Alrighty, so the first thing that we got in today's unboxing is actually something we're not gonna unbox, but this is the Big Bass Bundle by Bass Pro Shop. I ended up picking this up because I wanted to do a separate unboxing video on this box, so keep on the lookout for that in the future. But yeah, this is kind of like Bass Pro Shop's version of like a mystery tackle box or a lucky tackle box or something like that. The idea is they just take a bunch of companies, a bunch of different random baits, and throw them in a random mystery box for you guys. This one will actually tell you what it says on the back. I'm going to try not to look at the baits because, again, I want to do like a full unboxing on this thing. But yeah, if you look on the back of the box, it has all the baits underneath my hand. I'm not going to look at them. I'm not going to let you guys take a look at them. We'll get into this once we actually do this unboxing video. We'll talk about what's actually in the box in another video, like I said, but what I do want to show you guys is like the actual featured brands that come in here. Got a couple of the Bass Pro Shops brands, got some Rapala, some Strike King, some Z-Man, some Yamamoto. Got a bunch of different options, so it should be a pretty stacked little box. I don't know how many baits come in this thing. I don't know if it's going to be all hard baits or all soft plastics or some terminal, but I figured again, we'll just do a little unboxing on this thing. So yeah, keep a lookout for that video, like I said. If you guys want to make sure you see that video, hit that subscribe button, as well as hit that notification bell so you guys see when I post a new video. But yeah, really excited to see what comes in this at some point. But yeah, now getting into the actual stuff that I bought from Bass Pro Shops. I'm going to start off with these guys. Got a couple of packs of the VMC wide gap hooks. This is the only terminal tackle that I ended up picking up in this specific run. Again, I don't really know what I need, but I know I for sure need some smaller 1/0 size EWG hooks. So I got a couple of packs of these VMC ones. These are a 6-pack. They are, again, a 1/0 size, and these should be absolutely perfect for any of those smaller, finessier, weightless presentations. If you guys have seen a few of my videos over the past year, you might have actually seen me throw like a super small, finessy, downsized Texas rig. That seemed to work super, super well, especially in some smaller, more pressured bodies of water. And these hooks are absolutely perfect for that. Again, they're a 1/0 size, so they're super, super small. Should be great to fit on like a drop shot bait or like a small swim bait or something. But anyway, speaking of things that you would throw weedless and weightless, I picked up a few packs of flukes. This here is the Yum Houdini Shad. I just got 1 pack of these. This is the Arkansas Shiner color. It's a new color for me. I've thrown the Arkansas Shiner color before into like some other baits, but never thrown them in these Houdini Shads. But it's a great looking color. I love these Houdini Shads. We caught a bunch of fish on them last year. I think I ran through most of my flukes, so I ended up picking up a couple more packs of flukes like I said. And these Houdini Shads are super, super sneaky. I feel like a lot of people don't know about these things, but they have this super wide, like, flat beaver style tail, not like a beaver bait, but like an actual beaver tail where it looks like a big wide oar. And it gives a little bit of extra action. You can also like cut them off a little bit and just make it like a plain normal fluke if you just cut it in the middle. Actually, I'll just show you kind of what I'm talking about here. So if you look at one of these baits, you'll notice that the tail, like I said, has kind of like that beaver kind of flat oar style or leaf style tail, but it's also got a little diamond right there in the middle. So if you cut the bait right in the middle of that little oar shaped tail, you can pretty much turn that straight into like a normal style fluke. You just like pull the excess plastic in between the two like now forks off, and you'd have yourself a normal fluke. But I honestly like to fish them as is. I think they have a little bit of a more unique action. It can be a little bit more of an aggressive action, so it's great for over the summer when the fish are really, really aggressive. Again, also springtime, it's a great option as well. I wouldn't throw this fluke specifically early in spring or late into the fall. I'd probably just opt with like a normal fluke in that situation. But any of those warmer months where you want a little bit more action out of your flukes, those little Houdini shads are the way to go in my opinion. I did also pick up a couple of packs of the normal Zoom Super Flukes, but I got a couple of colors that I haven't seen before. This one here is called Golden Brim. It's a super interesting looking color. It's like a smoke gray body, and it's got a bunch of copper and gold flake in it. Got some black flake in there as well. Apparently that's supposed to imitate a brim or a bluegill or something. I think it looks more like a shad or just like a normal bait fish, but regardless, that should do a great job imitating just any sort of small forage. And then I also got this color, which they called Midnight Chartreuse. I really don't even know what this color looks like out of the package. Oh, okay, that's pretty friggin' sick. I was expecting this to be a little bit more chartreusey, but this is kind of like almost an olive green color. Or sorry, I should say the bottom is almost like an olive green color. It's pretty see-through. You can see almost entirely through the bait, but it's got like a nice light little greenish to it. And it's got a bunch of that like lime green or chartreuse flake in it, but I think the plastic actually muddles that color down a little bit, and I really like that. And it just looks like a flat black as the top color, but fantastic looking color right there. I think that looks a little bit more like a bluegill than the first one. But yeah, that's a sweet looking color. Again, just wanted to pick up a couple of things that I hadn't seen before. And these two colors, this color especially, really grabbed my attention. So figured I'd pick them up. I don't really have too much to say about the Super Fluke. We all fish the Super Fluke. We all know the Super Fluke works. But yeah, like I said, I'm running a little bit low on flukes, so I figured I'd use the opportunity to try out a couple of new colors. Alrighty, this last bait by Zoom is not quite a fluke, but it's very similar to a fluke. This is actually their fluke stick. I've never heard of this bait before. I don't know, maybe I just have missed it or something. I don't know if it's a new bait, but it's essentially just kind of like a perfect mix between a Senko and a fluke. So it's like a 6-inch body, like a 6-inch Senko body, and then it's just kind of got like the forked fluke tail on it. This is the Watermelon Magic color, so it's just like a watermelon with some black flake, and then like a ton of like just random rainbow flakes in there as well. Really good looking color, should be absolutely killer this spring and summer in some clear water. I'm really excited to try these little fluke sticks out. Again, I've never heard of them before, but they look really interesting. Another thing that I'm running painfully low on is some Senkos, so I figured I may as well pick up like a weird little mix between a fluke and a Senko, since I love both of them so much. Figure put the two of them together, it should be absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, just grabbed myself a pack of these to try out. Again, it's not a bait that I've ever heard of before. Let me know if you guys have ever tried these and if you had any success on them. Again, I don't know if they're a new bait or it's just like something that I have missed somehow. Zoom makes a million different baits, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's just one of those ones I've never heard of. But yeah, regardless, really stoked to try this one out. Alrighty, now on to some hard baits. I actually picked up a couple of the Bass Pro Shops hard baits. Got myself a little blade bait as well as a little underspin. We'll talk about the blade bait first. This is their laser blade. It's a 1/4 ounce little bait. They call this color chrome, and as you can imagine, it's just like a plain flat silver. Got a little bit of like a scale pattern on it that kind of gives it some iridescence to it, but more or less just kind of like a small chrome blade bait. Nothing super interesting or cool about it. I just really don't have a lot of blade baits and figured I may as well pick up a little smaller one since we are getting into the really, really cold time of the year. Also from Bass Pro Shops, I picked up one of their tail spins. This is a 1/2 ounce size. They call that color chrome with black back, so a very similar kind of colorway to that first one, but just a little bit more realism to it. This bait's got a little bit more color to it, a little more definition on that pattern, but overall, again, just kind of like a chrome blade bait. This one, instead of having 2 hooks, has a hook and a tail spin. So I got the smaller one, which was a 1/4 ounce. This one, I don't know if I mentioned, but it's a 1/2 ounce, so something a little bit bigger to throw on some casting gear. But it's still a pretty small profile. I think this is going to do a great job imitating like the little baby crappie. All of the ponds around here, for whatever reason, have crappie in them, and some really big ones as well, so I think this could do a really good job of imitating some of the smaller ones. And who knows, maybe even a giant crappie will take a stab at one of these things. So we'll definitely be throwing these things around at some point fairly soon. I'm really excited to see what we can do with them. Keeping with the blade kind of theme, we got ourselves a couple new spinner baits. These are the War Eagles Screaming Eagles. We got ourselves a couple different colors here. We got a mouse color, which is kind of like a shad kind of natural bait fish color. Also got ourselves one of the golden shiner colors for a little bit dirtier water. I really like these little War Eagles. They're pretty inexpensive in terms of spinnerbaits. As you guys know, I really like those J. Corwin lure spinnerbaits as well, but they are pretty pricey, so whenever I get a chance to, I do try and pick up a War Eagle or two just to have a couple of more inexpensive options around. And these Screaming Eagles are great baits, especially for the price. They got a good hook on them. They got really thin wires on them, so you get a little bit of extra vibration out of the bait. You don't need to throw a trailer on them. Actually, I think they recommend you not throw a trailer on them. I try to throw a small trailer on them. Nothing super big, though. Too big of a trailer will make these things run on their side. But if you throw something real small, like a little tiny fluke or a small paddle tail swim bait or something like that, that's a great little option for the back of these things. And yeah, you can throw these things pretty much wherever. I love a spinnerbait. It's one of those baits that I feel like people don't really throw anymore. That's perfectly fine by me. I feel like a lot of people will gravitate towards the chatterbait. And I used to be like that too. I used to love a chatterbait, never really threw a spinnerbait, but a few years ago, picked up a spinnerbait and absolutely started crushing fish on it. And ever since then, I feel like I've been actually throwing the spinnerbait more than I throw a chatterbait. Again, I feel like it's one of those presentations that the fish just kind of aren't accustomed to, so they're going to actually hit these things a little bit more frequently than they'll hit a chatterbait. Everybody's throwing a chatterbait, especially around here. All these ponds are super, super grassy, so a chatterbait is like everyone's #1 go-to option. So when everyone else is throwing a chatterbait, I'll either throw a swim jig or I'll probably throw a spinnerbait if I'm trying to throw something a little bit slower, or if I'm fishing a little bit dirtier water. So yeah, grab myself a couple more War Eagles just to add to the collection, just to keep my spinnerbait numbers up, because I feel like I lose these things all the time. Alrighty, another tried and true old school bait. I picked up a few jigs, got ourselves 3 of the Strike King Bitsy Bugs. These are all the 1/4 ounce size. I got 2 in a black and blue color, and then I just got 1 in like more of this natural crawl style color. I find myself throwing mostly black and blue jigs. If I throw a jig, I don't find myself throwing a natural jig all too often. Or I should say like a standard jig. I'll throw like a natural colored chatterbait or a bladed jig or like a swim jig in a natural color all day, but when I'm throwing like a normal jig, just fishing it on the bottom or fishing it around cover, for some reason I just find myself gravitating more towards a black and blue color. But I figure this more natural one still has a good amount of black in the skirt, so should still work in some dirtier water. But yeah, again, not really too much to say about the Bitsy Bugs. I've been throwing these things for about as long as I've been throwing a jig. I used to throw them exclusively. They're really inexpensive little baits, smaller profile, so you get more bites. And it's always good to have a couple of smaller flipping jigs to throw around. I feel like, again, most of my jigs are pretty big, pretty heavy. Because again, when I'm throwing a jig, I'm usually fishing something really, really heavy. A lot of the time, if I'm fishing like a little bit lighter cover, for whatever reason, I'll actually gravitate more towards like a Texas rig. But I really should get to throwing a jig a little bit more. I find myself gravitating more towards soft plastic for whatever reason. But yeah, I got a few of those less expensive jigs. I also picked up one of these missile jigs. This is the Ike's Mini Flip Jig. It's the 3/8 ounce size. It is the bruiser color. I've thrown this jig around a little bit here and there. It's a pretty solid jig from what I can tell. The hook is fantastic. It seems like the head is really well made as well. All the components seem like they're pretty long lasting. I haven't really thrown it too much again, like I said, so I can't really speak on it all too much, but I know that these things catch some fish. But yeah, I figured again, I'd just pick up one more jig, just something a little bit heavier than those little 1/4 ounce Bitsy Bugs. Now they call this thing a flipping jig, but it's kind of got a rounded head, so I probably wouldn't throw it into the heaviest of heavy cover, but you guys will probably see this thing around some lighter cover. Alrighty, getting down to the end of it, got a couple more hard baits to go through and then a couple of top waters. Gonna start off with this guy. This is a Berkley Fritzside 7. These things have been taking the industry by storm. People have been catching the absolute snot out of them on these little Fritzsides. For those of you guys who don't know, this is a coffin bill style flat-sided crankbait. This color is HD bluegill, and you can definitely see the HD bluegill in it. These Fritzsides are flat-sided baits. They're also silent baits, so they're great for really, really pressured fish or when the water's super cold. Again, I wanted to pick up a couple of baits for this time of the year. It's about as cold as the water's going to get all year, so this is about the perfect time for me to be throwing something like this. And I figured that bluegill color should be absolutely perfect for around here. Most of these fish are feeding pretty heavily on bluegill most of the year. Bluegill seem to be the most consistent forage in all these ponds. There seem to be some crappie in some of them, some catfish in some of them, some perch in some of them, but by and large it seems like every single pond around here has some bluegill in it. And that seems like it holds true all the way across the country. I feel like regardless of where you're fishing, if you have a pond with bass in it, it's probably also got bluegill in it. So yeah, got ourselves a new medium diving crankbait. Again, this is the Fritzside 7, so it usually dives 5 to 7 feet. Most of the ponds around here, again, like I said, aren't super deep, so this should be absolutely perfect for a lot of the ponds that I'm going to be fishing this year. But yeah, I also got a little Lucky Craft jerkbait. This is the Pointer. It is the Ghost Baby Bluegill color. and the 3 1/8 inch size. So it's a little bit smaller than their normal size pointer, but I figured I'd pick up a little bit smaller jerkbait. I feel like most of my jerkbaits are pretty big, so got myself a little bit of a smaller size one. These little Lucky Crafts are fantastic. I love Lucky Craft baits. And yeah, got myself a little suspending jerkbait. This thing goes down to about 5 foot, so again, should be perfect for some of these smaller bodies of water. These Lucky Crafts are pretty expensive, but again, like I said, I think they're worth the money. If you can keep them around long enough, they're absolutely fantastic baits. Okay, and the last two things that I got in here, I am certainly not going to be touching anytime soon, but we got ourselves a couple of new frogs. I had to pick up a couple more frogs. I feel like I've been losing frogs left, right, and center. A lot of my frogs are getting blown up and just broken over time. I lost a couple of frogs this year. I broke a couple of frogs this year, so I ended up picking myself up a few more frogs. These are just a couple of the scum frogs, like I said. This is their popping frog, just like their normal scum frog. This color is watermelon red, so just kind of like a normal watermelon red frog. Nothing super special, but again, just like a little popping frog. These scum frogs are incredibly soft. I've been catching the crap out of fish on them. They're not super expensive either, so that's kind of why I gravitated towards it, because it was the only frog in there that was less than $5. And again, they work pretty well. They're not super expensive. They don't walk super well, but if you're fishing a popping frog or you're fishing over the top of a mat or some heavy scum, you don't need a frog that works super well. What you need is a frog that makes a presence on top of the water and one that has a really good hookup ratio, and that's what I like about these scum frogs, is if you're fishing over super heavy mats, if a fish puts this thing in its mouth, you're probably going to hook it. Again, it's a really soft body, so it compresses super easily, and these hooks are pretty sharp as well. So for that super heavy stuff, I do actually really like a scum frog. Again, this is the popping frog, so this will be used for a little bit more open cover, but this is more of like a weedless popper than anything for me, so it doesn't need to walk super well. So yeah, got myself another one of those popping frogs. I also picked up one of the Trophy Series scum frogs, which are a little bit bigger, a little bit better made, a little bit higher quality, still a super soft-bodied frog. But they do walk a little bit better, they do have a little bit more surface presence, they got more of a keeled belly on them, so they sit a little bit better in the water. And yeah, I've used these scum frogs before. Again, I've used the Trophy Series a bunch. I haven't used the popper all that much, but I've used the smaller, normal-sized scum frog as well. And these things, again, absolutely work. The Trophy Series is a little bit more beefed up, a little bit better suited for actually frog fishing. So I figured I'd pick up one of these as well, just in the non-popping version. And so yeah, got ourselves a little popping frog, got ourselves a non-popping frog. Again, I probably won't be throwing these things around for another like 8 months at this point, but figured I may as well stock up while I saw them. And with that, I think that pretty much wraps up the video, folks. I really hope you guys enjoyed. It feels great to finally get back in front of the camera. Again, I'm hoping to be able to get out and do some fishing with some of these baits here coming up soon. And again, keep an eye out for the video on the unboxing of the Big Bass bundle as well, because we're going to do one of these at some point pretty soon as well. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for me, folks. Again, really hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see some more content from me. Check them and wreck them, and I'll catch you on the next one. I'm out. Peace.